Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Today I'm going to talk about tips to getting good tenants. Now, I'll tell you a little story. When I was in the business many years ago, I had a knack for picking the worst possible tenants. If I had 3 applications, I always picked the one that was going to stiff me. That's one of the main reasons I got out of the business, because nobody paid me what they were supposed to. So I got out of it, and I just got back in a couple of years ago, and I learned a lot in that period of time. And I've broken the process down, and I'm going to explain to you how now I have good tenants that are living up to their responsibilities and making it not quite so traumatic. Now, when I got back into it, the first thing I did when I had a place to rent was I put an ad in a newspaper. Crickets. Nobody reads the newspaper anymore, and I didn't know that. So then I had some people put it on social media for me, because I don't know how to do that. And we got a tenant, and the first one that I got stuck me for 13 months for no rent, and I couldn't evict him because it was during COVID. At that point, I remembered why I got out of the business in the first time, and I was talking to my realtor about it, and he said, well, if that's your problem, I can solve that for you. So now I let my realtor pick the people. However, he just picks the people. There's another whole set of things that needs to go on to get a good tenant. Now the first one, and he wasn't doing this, I suggested this to him because I learned this the first time around. He was making a new showing every 10 or 15 minutes when people wanted to look at the property. I said, no, don't do that. I said, what you do is you schedule 2 or 3 or 4 of them all at the same time. That way, if you've got 2 or 3 no-shows, you'll have at least one to show. Saves you some time. You won't have to sit there at the property for 30 minutes waiting for your 3rd appointment to show up. Don't do that. When you get somebody that seems like they're interested and they might fit, don't talk it up. Do not be a salesman. At this point, you need to be truthful and honest about everything. All the negative things that you can think of. The clauses in the contract, the rent, the security deposit, the credit bureau, the background check, the fees, the application fee, all that stuff that nobody really wants to talk about, that's when you mention it. Because you don't want them making a decision based on something they didn't know. When you've got it narrowed down, you collect the completed application and the application fee from the people. Now, my realtor handles all that, then he turns the information over to me. What I do is I do background check and I do a credit bureau. And then I try to decide the criteria for renting. And one of them is your credit rating is not so important to me. What's more important is no collections, no bankruptcies, and no evictions. You meet that criteria, you're 90% of the way home. Now, if you've got all that and your credit rating is a 400, now we're going to have no. Once you've made your decision, and this is one that I've noticed that a lot of people don't do, be prompt in answering. Not only to the one that's getting the apartment, but to the ones that aren't going to get it. You know, because a turn down this year might be somebody that wants to come back and see another property next year. Do yourself a favor and call the ones that are not getting and say, hey, we're not, we found this or we found that or we found somebody more qualified, whatever. But let them know so they can move on. Now, the one that you're going to rent to, you call them up, and one of the keys that I have learned is once you tell them they're approved, you get their signature and a security deposit on that bottom line as soon as possible, because people are people. They're going to try to find something better and cheaper up until the very last minute. So you get them nailed down right now. And if they're not willing to do that, then you keep looking. Go to your number 2 and tell them that. If I don't have your signature and the security deposit in my hand in the next 24 hours, I'm going to the number 2. You got to get them nailed down. Otherwise, it could be a whole month before you get anybody to requalify. Now, so you went through the process, you got them narrowed down, and you've got the one picked. Now let's talk about a lease. A lease to me is a double-edged sword. The lease was designed specifically for the tenant, not the landlord. It spells out for the tenant everything that's going on. So there's no surprises, there's no escalations, the landlord is not allowed to do anything that is not in that lease. So it's designed for them. However, if they don't fulfill their part, then the lease becomes proof to the court that you at least had a lease, and that you can prove the amount of money that they owe. That's the only purpose of a lease for a landlord. Other than that, the lease is designed especially and specifically for the tenant. So you need to make your leases as detailed as possible. And you put in any kind of addendum to that lease that you want that is important to you. As an example, if I put in new carpet in an apartment or a house, I make up an addendum to the contract. It says this carpet is brand new as you move in. Any stains or any ruining, you're going to be charged. If the carpet is not new, you can't put that in there because the court will look at that as normal wear and tear. But if it's new carpet and they leave stains on it, they can't say, oh, that was there when I moved there. No, 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 no. You signed the thing right here about new carpets. Also, before they get the keys to the house or the apartment, you make sure that you have proof that they have put the utilities into their name, assuming they're separated. Because if they just promise you they're going to do that and they move in there and they don't switch the utilities over, there's nothing you can do because the utility company will not turn them off, they will not switch them, they will not do anything while there's somebody living there, especially if it's the winter time. So make sure you get proof, and specifically written proof from the utility company, and they will do that. All you have to do is have the person ask, and they'll send a letter or fax or text or something. Another thing you might want to do is to go through and do a pre-move-in inspection. And that might include just a paper thing, there's a stain on the carpet right here in the bedroom in the middle, or there's a water stain in the ceiling, but you write it down. If you don't want to do that, just take video. Just turn the video on and walk through the apartment and show everything, and that way if you have to go to court, you've got proof. Another one that we put in there starting just a couple of years ago was a bed bug addendum. And that addendum says that this place has been inspected and sprayed. There are no bed bugs, no pests of any kind. If you get bed bugs, you will pay to have them treated because it's not cheap. Now, are they going to write you a check? No, but when you go to court, that will add on to the amount of money that you can get out of them because you're going to have to pay to treat for the bed bugs. But if you have it in there, you can get reimbursed if they pay, of course. I also put it in addendums about lawn care and snow removal. As a landlord, I can't be responsible. I mean, I can be, but I choose not to be responsible for any of that. And if the city contacts me and says, hey, you're not cutting your grass, we're going to fine you, then I will pay it. But I turn right around and then I call somebody to go mow the grass and I charge everything to the tenant. I charge the fine, I charge the lawn mowing and everything because I've got an addendum in the lease that says, hey, you are responsible for lawn care, keeping your grass mowed, and removing of snow. So as you go through and you think about your properties and you think about the lease, you need to remember that the lease is designed for the tenant. Anything that you want or that's important to you, you're going to have to put an addendum in that contract. And you need to have it initialed, and you need to have each page signed so that they can't say, well, he snuck that in there. I didn't know that was in there. He put it in there after I signed. No, here's your initials, and here's your signature, and here's the date that you did it. If the lease is going to be designed to protect the tenant, the landlord also has the right to protect himself. Take that right and use it. Otherwise, you'll learn the hard way that tenants will not pay anything they don't absolutely positively have to. And even then, they might not do it well. That's all I wanted to talk about. You guys have a great day, a great week, and happy investing.